Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Dorex number 9512. This is a hinge reinforcing plate, and this is one of three plates that Dorex has. The others, the 9510 and 9511, have a stamp on them, and I wrote 9512 on this to identify it, although it's easy to identify because this plate is perfectly flat, meaning there's no offset to the plate at all. Okay, this is a hinge reinforcing plate. There is an image, or pardon me, there's a link down below this video to a document called Cut Sheet where we can review all of the dimensional properties, and let's go over that now. We've got an overall length of 7 15/16. That is indeed correct. And we've got a width of about 1 3/16. I'd say that'd be pretty correct. The thickness they're saying is 5/32, which is 5/32. 0.156. My caliper's telling me it's 0.157, so that's spot on. Okay. This is made of steel with a zinc plating on it for corrosion resistance. That link to the cut sheet down below gives us the length and the width and the thickness. Also gives us the location for all of the holes for the hinge. Now these holes are in a template pattern. Template, meaning standard. If you have a modern 4.5 inch tall hinge, regardless of it being 4 inch wide or 4.5 by 4.5, or a wide throw, 4.5 by 5 or 6 or 7 inch, the hole locations of your hinge will line up with this. And speaking of those hole locations, I have a 1224 flat undercut head screw here, and the mounting hole locations are indeed 1224, as certainly are the holes for the hinge. So to install this into an aluminum frame, you would only need some extra hinge screws, which we in fact can sell you. Now, what they don't give us is the location of the holes for those mounting screws, and let's study that. Okay, so with the tape measure to the top of the, or bottom of the plate, I suppose, to that first hole, you can see that we're about a half of an inch, maybe just heavy on that. The lower hole is coming in at about 1.25 inches, maybe just heavy on that. And I can tell you that those locations are different than the 9510 and 9511. Okay, so be mindful of that. Those locations are a bit different. It could be, I don't know why, it could be. From the edge of the plate to that outer hole, looks like it's about 1/4 inch. And to that inner hole, looks like it's just heavy on 7/8. Okay, so hopefully those dimensions will allow you to determine if this is accurate for your needs. In the cut sheet, the C dimension, D, F, G, template pattern. The E dimension they don't give, or we don't really care about because there is no offset, so to speak. But you can get an idea of what those dimensions are, I suppose, just by knowing where that hole is down to where the next or the very first mounting hole is. Okay, so where would you use this plate? Well, it would probably be used in a situation where you had an especially thick piece of material that you were installing it to. What I mean is, if this has no offset at all, it's completely flat, and you mount this behind a frame, your hinge thickness, let's say it's a standard 0.134 thick hinge. If your material thickness, like a steel frame, is only 1/16 of an inch for 16 gauge, that hinge is really going to stick out well beyond the frame and would not be flush at all. But maybe you've got some material that is maybe 1/8 of an inch thick. And if that hinge is 0.134, and when you place this down into the frame, that 10/1000ths of an inch is going to be consumed because this cannot be perfectly flat on the frame. It will be ever so slightly, offset. It might be just a perfect installation. So if you've got something about 1/8 of an inch, I think you'd be in good shape. The way that we would do it is we would attach a hinge, a half of a hinge leaf, to this plate, get this brought into the frame, and then we can test how flush it is before you flip it over and weld all that to the jamb, or locate and drill and countersink the holes to mount it. Make any adjustments as necessary. We've taken plates like this and literally put an offset into them ourselves. Hammer, vise, things of that nature to give it a little bit of a bend. But you might also be using this in an application where, you've got something unusual and you need just a flat piece of steel that's got those holes. So I would imagine that they are shearing this steel, and then a fixture is coming down and drilling and tapping all 8 of these holes, probably simultaneously would be my guess, probably with lots of fluid. And then of course the zinc plating would certainly go on after the fact. So that cut sheet will allow you to review this plate against the other 2 standard plates. The flat one's awfully uncommon, and I would say that the most common one is probably the 9511. Would be, because that's a 1/16 of an inch offset if you've got 16 gauge material or your aluminum is in that range. But use that logic. What's the offset? What's the thickness of the material? What's the nominal amount that you're going to lose because you won't have this completely flat down, and what's the thickness of the hinge, and then you're going to be in real good shape. I've had people that have ordered a 95, 10, 11, and 12 just to test which one's going to work, and then they order 1,000 of the one that they know work. People who buy these are going to be locksmiths. They're going to be door shops, small and medium size, certainly. Locksmiths like to have these on the truck because they'll get to a job site where the client calls and says, my hinge fell off. Okay. Okay, where did it go? How did that happen? Well, the plate has been neglected. The screws came out and the plate literally fell down into the jamb, and you hear a clank. All I heard was a loud clank. Rather than trying to fish this out of the jamb, maybe having one on hand would be the way to go. Although I've had people fish them out, dropping a magnet down, which might be tough to do, but nonetheless, that might work out for you very well. Okay. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Dorex products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Any questions on the Dorex 9512 flat, no offset hinge reinforcing plate, or any other Dorex product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.